All right. Well, hello, and welcome everyone to our BG5 Live. Great to have all of you here live in our Zoom room, watching via Facebook and also watching via the recording on YouTube or our free resources. So great to have you here. Today is February 2nd, 2021. This is episode number 90. Wow. Can't believe that it's episode number 90. And today, what we're going to be taking a look at is learning lessons from the past. So that's what we'll take a look at today. We're going to be focusing on trait number 13, and we're going to specifically dive into trait 13 in quality number 2. So that's what we're taking a look at today. Let's say hello to our panel before we continue. So great to have you guys here. Let's start with Anna. Hi, Anna. Welcome.
Hi, I love being here. Thanks. Hello, everyone.
Great to have you. Welcome, welcome. And Natalie.
Yay! back in the house.
Yay. Great to have you here. And Linda, so excited to have you join us again. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much. I love being here.
Yay.
Yay.
Well, great. Thank you so much for being here. Amazing panel. So I can't wait to get into the discussion today. And as we're taking a look at learning lessons from the past, we're also entering into a new month and also a new theme as well. So we're moving into and starting the journey of the mind through emotions, which I find always very fascinating that as we move in, we'll notice that we are taking a look at 13 today, but you'll notice, and that's the listener. So that's what we're going to be focusing on today. Here of the seekers, secrets. It's also the fellowship of man as well. And then the other traits that we're going to be focusing on here in February are all emotional. So we can see that February is emotional. It's connection to spirit and surrendering to the fates with family and friends, and purpose fulfilled through the mind. So we're entering into this purpose fulfilled through the mind. And again, then if we focus here, we can see that the traits that we're going to be taking a look at here in February are all in emotional intelligence. So next week, we'll take a look at principles in the 49, a revolution based on principles. We'll take a look at surrendering to the fates in the 30. We'll take a look at spirit in the 55, the abundance, and abundance is a matter of spirit. And we'll take a look at friends and family in the 37. This is the tribal connection to the other. So again, very fascinating that even though we are journeying through purpose fulfilled through the mind, that the traits of emotional intelligence are defined. And that's what we're going to be focusing on here in February. Isn't it interesting? In February is also when we have Valentine's Day as well, right? Matters of emotions in the heart. So that's what we're going to be taking a look at today. Now, one of the things that kind of goes along with this theme that we'll start things off with is also there's been a shift in the environment as well. So it changed on January 28th, 29th, depending on where you were in the world. And we've changed from the 26.3 in quality 3 and the 45 in quality 3. We've now changed it to be in quality number 2. So interesting to take a look at what this different dynamic is. It's very fascinating. I really felt that shift. I didn't realize that we had shifted traits until I looked back, and I'm like, I can feel the difference. So the environment that we're now in, this also goes along with this theme of reflecting and learning lessons from the past. So if we take a look at this sales and marketing lessons of history. So the power of the ego to mature through experience and the energy and depth of reflection to learn from the past in anticipation of the future. It can also be the failure of the ego to respect experience and the urge to take action despite evidence of history. So we're going to be talking a lot today about this depth of reflection, lessons from history. This is in the 26 too, but it's also part of what we're taking a look at today in listening and listening to the lessons of the past. And also the environment has shifted to gathering together to consensus. Before it was about exclusion. Now it's consensus. So it's gathering together is strengthened by acknowledging common interest. The inventiveness to establish techniques by which common ground can be assessed. Or it can be the refusal of material techniques of others or the innate rebellion against conformity as well. So there's more of a gathering together, there's more of a consensus of what's going on, and there is more of this depth of learning from the past. So this month is going to be about looking at history, reflecting what's happened in the past, again, so we can move forward powerfully into the future. So this is the first trait as we move into, again, fulfilling the purpose through the mind. So I wanted to open it up and see if there's anything that our panel, just in looking at this, or anyone who is here live in our Zoom room or live on Facebook, if there's anything that you've noticed in this shift of the environment over the last few days.
Well, I haven't felt it that in the way that you really felt the shift, but I'm amazed again because to me it really feels that because today in the Netherlands is announced that the lockdown continues. So we have time to reflect in our own homes. But it's really interesting that it's all about the lessons of history because it's also almost a year ago that everything started with the virus and that our world changed. And people are really talking about what they miss about the past. Last year, we were still able to go to a restaurant, or we were in the traffic jam every day. And look at us now. So I think what I notice when I talk with friends and family, we talk about the past, but also about what we liked, but also what we didn't like. So I think it's really reflecting on what's going on, and it's a second line. So it's also about really, it has a natural flavor, but it also has a flavor of withdrawal.
Yes.
So it is about history, but again, it's also about being in your own space and more enjoying being in your own space, and maybe also more accepting that you are in your own space. And what's really interesting also is that the consensus, I think the common interest is that we want to get out of the lockdown, that we want to have a new kind of freedom or a new whatever, a new way of living together, because what are the possibilities? But also the innate rebellion. I think these are interesting times because I also feel the rebellion with people where they first thought, okay, well, it's for our own good to be at home. Now I hear more people talking about that they don't like what's going on, and they don't like the conformity that the government is placing on us. So that's my first reaction to this.
Yeah, exactly. It was interesting. I was at actually a networking event and show on Sunday. And again, there's all the protocols of wearing a mask and everything. And once everyone sat in their seats, it was kind of like this refusal to accept wearing a mask. And there's this little rebellion, and the woman that was leading it, she was like, do I ask them all to put a mask on or not? And she didn't want to, so she's like, I'm just going to leave it as it is. It's fine. But you could see and you can almost feel that sort of rebellion against that conformity as well. Okay, we've done this long enough. We're done. Exactly. Yeah. Anything for you, Anna or Natalie?
I was just reflecting again. Yeah, I hadn't really consciously, you know, thought about it. I was reviewing though, reviewing a whole lot of the past and feeling. Um, a relative had called me. We decided to get on Zoom, and I haven't done that because I like my time alone. But all of a sudden, I'm tired of just hanging out by myself. So we decided to gather a couple of the cousins and things and just, have tea together. So it's been interesting, this reflection and this refusal, inventiveness. I mean, this whole situation is requiring a different way of gathering and a different way of educating. I think this thing, what Linda was talking about, there's something percolating through the masses now of this sense of, wait a second. Some people have known certain things for a while, but now on a mass scale, people are refusing to accept a certain level of controlled environments.
Yeah.
And then, that sort of speaks for itself. I think that there's this gathering of questioning, and the inventiveness, I think, is going to show itself here pretty soon.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Beautifully said, Anna. All right. Anything for you, Natalie, or anything in the comments or the forum?
Yeah, I just posted actually it's a report from Deloitte, consultancy firm, and one of our instructors, Juan Jose, just shared in our OC16 course about this report, and this is actually also speaking to the lessons of history and the changing times we are in how the workplace is evolving to make use of or recognize actually the natural talent or the potential of people, and they were forced to do so due to COVID, and have employees be creative with the situation and see what comes up. And actually what they found, or what is now what is discussed in this report, that giving your employees the space and ability to react to the changing circumstances brings more to an organization than actually prescribing what you have to do. And so it's really an interesting report, and it also the link has a little video of 3 minutes, which kind of animates the results. It's fascinating, and it speaks so much to what we discuss here in BG5 Live, and what we learn about as BG5 consultants, OTC16 consultants. So yeah, I wanted to share that.
Yeah, fascinating. Exactly. Yeah, so kind of learning to the past and recognizing, right? We need to shift, we need to change, we need to do something different to be able to move forward into the future, right? So the deep reflection to learn from the past in anticipation of the future. Yeah, beautiful.
And what I also find fascinating, because we just had an OC16 class, the 45. In the Netherlands, our government is really educating us. The 45, the voice of the tribe of the Netherlands in this example, is really telling us not to gather together, but they really are searching for consensus, because they really want to keep in mind that we have in our best common interest, it's in our best interest to not gather together, but the rebellion is going to start, like Anna shared, together in a different way. So I really feel that it's also we can also not only experience it in energy, but also really in the voice.
Right.
In this case, our government, it's really they tell us it's crazy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. So interesting to see this shift in environment. So pay attention and take a look at and experience where you're looking at the past to learn those lessons, where you're gathering or where there's consensus, and also where there's rebellion as well. Fascinating to look at. So let's take a look at trait 13. So trait 13 is the listener. So it's the gift for hearing, seeing, and storing secrets. It's the universal idea and values in an ordered framework which inspires humanistic cooperation. Now, I find that interesting. What inspires cooperation is listening, right? Oftentimes we're so busy speaking that we're not really listening to each other. And, these are universal ideas that are valued in an ordered framework, which inspire humanistic cooperation. It happens through listening. It's past knowledge, and it's past knowledge of cycles that's accumulated as memory. And it's the role of the listener to provide continuity between the past and the future. So I find it very fascinating that we're moving into this at the beginning of February. And this is also, in a sense, even though it's a different trait, it's still the same theme of what we'll see in February as well in the background, right? This providing this continuity between the past and the future. And the important lessons learned through experience are held and cherished until the right time to contribute to humanity's understanding of itself. So this is part of where the history books are written as well. The historical continuity informs our future also as a species as well. So taking a look one at how important listening is, and again, I think we're at that sort of tipping point of moving from the past and moving into the future. We've talked a lot about this move and this shift as we move towards 2027, and listening is part of how we witness, how we take in information, and how we learn those lessons from the past. So I would love to hear from our panel insights and things that you see with this 13 of the listener.
I'll go.
Please.
Um, I just, as I'm thinking about this, I just think about the various levels of listening. Obviously, in terms of storing secrets, there's the behind closed doors sort of secrets, and the gals here, whether it's kind of gossip dirt kind of secrets, or whether it's the wealth of wisdom that happens in different kinds of councils. We have like the round table image, we have the bonfire image, we have these different circles where protocol is provided for secrets, for wisdom to come out. And then there's the level of listening from your body, really, and you have to be quiet. Your mind can chatter away, but you have to have some little practice to be able to tune into your sensations or your movements or whatever, and let your body speak the history, the knowing, so you can cooperate with your body and your design, and on and on and on it ripples out. And then there's the listening of, for me, February is always a time of planting my garden. And you listen to the elements in the environment, the temperature, the smell, the season, the soil, you listen, it's an organic kind of listening to, and it's sort of like what we were just talking about with the 45. There's this swell of information that is organically provided if we're in tune with the soil and the seasons and those kinds of things. So we can learn in present time, but we also tap into the past simultaneously while we're listening. And it does inform, oh, what happened last season or 10 seasons ago, or what happened in different cultures when you were talking about writing the history books. Not all of the history has been written in those books. Some of it's oral history, some of it's in songs or dances and things like that. So our history is not always available to listen to unless we're in some kind of circle or context or information zone. So I think of all those levels of secrets, not necessarily being dirty secrets, but the wisdom secrets.
Yeah.
And our ability to listen to them in different venues.
Yep, exactly. Beautifully said. And I love that analogy also of planting in the garden. Really beautiful. Thank you, Anna. How about for you, Natalie or Linda?
Well, it's funny. I was teaching yesterday a certification, and Anna is assisting me. Anna, what did I emphasize? Like I emphasized literally. Yeah. So yesterday we started in trade 13. Listen. That's the most important aspect of your role as a consultant. Listen to your client. So when you I was just cracking up, like that's what I did yesterday. And
Yeah.
in that there is, the what you shared about the inspires humanistic cooperation. It's also in being a consultant where you truly can be of service to the other in what they are encountering in their lives. So I shared with the consultants that are doing the training right now that it's not about downloading about their design if you work with a client, but truly looking at what's the problem they encounter and where do we see the solution. So first listen.
Exactly. Exactly. Beautifully said. I love that.
Yeah, it's really great. And also the analogy with the garden. I love gardening as well. So I'm looking forward to start again. But to me, it also feels like it's listening to yourself, to others, to make sense of also what's going on right now, but also what you have experienced, and it has an effect on your identity. Because I think what's going on in this world right now has a huge effect. And there is a lot of news. There's lots of things going on. Yeah, for the past year, 2020 was crazy. And I think 2021 will be also challenging. But I really feel that it's about listening to the different meanings, different opinions, different aspects of what we have encountered, because it's new. We've never experienced this before. And that we have to contemplate what this means to our own direction and to our own identity. So I feel it's also really important at this time to also have respect in listening to other opinions of people having different experiences in the last year, because I really feel there's a polarity. And we discussed it last week about choosing fear or choosing trust. And I am really feeling fine and really trusting everything, but I see a lot of fear. And it's really important to listen and to comfort people about the direction. So for me, it feels like this trait is more important than ever. And what also Natalie shared as a BG5 consultant, there are lots of clients that are really worrying about their future. So you really have to hone in to their fears and to what's going on. And only by listening, you can comfort them. So
Yep. Exactly. Exactly. Beautifully said. And, trait 13 also, when we take a look at BG5, this is also accounting as well. So it's gathering information, accounting, whether it be, numbers, or whether it's, gathering experiences to be able to share, to be able to successfully move us forward into the future. And oftentimes they say history repeats itself, right? And if you don't learn the lessons from history, they're bound to repeat themselves. And so accounting for everything that has happened this year, accounting for things that, have happened in the distant past to the recent past, and being able to see how does this all lead us forward into the future. And as Natalie was saying too, as a consultant, what you are doing is giving people support to move forward into the future. And in order to move forward into the future, you need to listen to what is, in a sense, holding them back. And I love what you said, Linda, about it really being attached to identity. It's part of identity and direction. And it is the part of identity which looks at the past and how important that is. Yeah, beautiful.
And I'd like to add,
Yeah.
kind of segueing from what Linda was just talking about and what you presented at the beginning of mind. It's mind, it's the quadrant of mind, but it's in the emotional experience. And when we're talking about the future, learning from the past, this whole new territory that we're transitioning into, whole new um, energy frequency, people, when as a consultant, you want to listen to their fears, because that's where their mind starts going, oh my God, blah, 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 whatever the story is. And deal with their fears, deal with that emotional, comfort them, maybe, challenge them, maybe. We'll get to the 49 and the 50 as we go along here. But um, comfort has to do with, I think, perspective, getting a little perspective of, yes, there's huge challenges. Yes, there's this voice wants to dominate here, and that voice wants to, whoever's speaking, trying to control the message. But in our consulting, we know business is going to continue. We don't always know how, but it is going to continue. And if you're listening to your client, you can say, hey, this is where you might get tripped up and distracted and go into fear. And this is where actually you're going to have more success over here doing this and this and this.
Yeah.
So as consultants, we can sort of settle out this, help people listen to what the different voices and identities and things are saying. And that's immensely valuable.
Yep. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, and it's interesting if we take a look at trait 13 and we take a look at the quality 2. What we will see, this is one of those fun ones that has a keynote that people often get triggered by. When we take a look at the listener and we take a look at quality 2, it's about bigotry. This is the natural. This is the risk, always present, that fellowship can only exist for a particular type, whether racial, religious, national, or intellectual. And when we take a look at what the elevation is, the elevation is really tolerance. So it's kind of like tolerance on one side and bigotry on the other, but tolerance at the least offensive manifestation of bigotry, a role of openness through tolerance. Now, on the other side, there's the challenge, and the challenge is the obsessive belief that the highest ideals cannot be embraced by the lowest forms. So, thinking that you're above someone else or above some other group. An extremely difficult position where even the highest ideals provide rationalization for hatred. A role of openness so narrow that there is practically no one worth listening to. So this is a very interesting one as well. And oftentimes, we want to, take a stand and we're not, you know, we're not a bigot. We don't believe in bigotry, but even in the things that we do, it's really about, in a sense, being selective as well. And it's, are you open? And I think Lindo, you were talking about this earlier. Are we open in in this duality that we're facing, in this diversity, diverse, what's the word I want to use, the polarization that's happening with two sides? Are we willing to listen, to both sides, right? And to start to gather consensus that, that we have more in common, we're more similar than we are different, whether it be our political views, whether it be race or religious or national or intelligence wise. All of those areas, are we willing to listen to ideas that are different from ours or not? Right. And it's almost like, if you are not willing to listen, right, that's where hatred can arise. This is the, like I said, the role of openness so narrow that there's practically no one to listen to, right, because your ears are closed. So this is really about taking a look at how open are you to listen to, different opinions, different ways of perceiving things, different ways of seeing things, or how closed are you to listen to different ideas and viewpoints, etc. So I'd love to hear from our panel again. Oftentimes we see this, as something that's much more of a polarity, much more of a triggering word as well, just the word itself, when we take a look at it. Anyone want to take a shot at it?
I will.
Go for it.
It's natural to take sides. And I think that's where this too comes in. It's natural to have affinities to people, resonances to people. But it's when it becomes too selective, as you were saying. Selective is a good word. We do need to be selective about certain things, in terms of listening to what fits for us. But when it's so narrow, or the voice that's talking or imposing or whatever is too one-sided, then you don't have this movement through both sides, through the polarity.
Yeah, exactly. Beautifully said, Anna.
Yeah, and that's what's reflecting is all about. It's reflecting on multiple sides, to take a step back and to see what's unfolding, or what has unfolded, and what you feel about it, and to feel your body responding in your way of decision making, what feels right for you. And most of the time, because I always say, in extremes there is no truth. It's neither this or that. It's always like a mix of truth from both sides. But you have to really feel what is the truth for you, and to be open-minded. And also what I really feel is that in these times, it's about also taking a look at themes that are how do you say it, not higher, but they are the larger themes in life. Because what really bonds, connects us is freedom, is health. And I think when you listen to people, even if they don't have the same opinion, they will agree with you that they all want a good health. They all want that their loved ones are safe. They all want their freedom. They all want to sit in a restaurant and gather. So I really feel it's like, yeah, the perfect time to sit back, relax, and to just take a look at what's happening, and yeah, really tolerate the different opinions, and also see the threat, the red thread that is there, and that connects us.
Yeah, ultimately the consensus that we were talking about as well. I think that was so beautifully put, Linda.
Yeah.
Kind of taking a look for what is that common thread? Where is there consensus?
Yes.
Among these different sides, these different opinions, these different ways of looking at things. Where is the consensus that we all, what you beautifully stated, we all want to have health. We all want to have this freedom. We all want to have happiness.
Exactly. And that is where you find each other, because I am also a trained mediator, and I have learned to, when there are two parties and they are arguing, you really are going to take the layers after layers after layers off, to go to the core. Because what connects you in the essence, and that's that we are human beings and that we're living on this planet. So, and then when you have something in common, you can have consensus. Okay, we are both human, we both want to be healthy. Okay, you have a different perspective, but let's take a look at how we can move forward, because we are moving forward, because you take the lessons learned with you, and then you move forward with your new gained wisdom. So
yeah, beautifully said. Love it. Thank you, Linda.
You're welcome.
How about for you, Natalie?
Well, not a lot to add, but I'm just knowing that I'm just wondering what we will hear in the news today, because this bigotry, this quality of bigotry and its elevation and challenge in and of itself is almost a polarity, right? Like you have either tolerance or you go to hatred. So what will we hear? Listen today to what are people sharing, I'm curious. I haven't seen the news today because I was in classes, etc. What was our president sharing here in the Netherlands and how are people, how are governments sharing the news today?
It is fear. It's fear-based, and they want consensus in fear. So you have a good point there. They are feeding one side of the opinion, and it seems like news is always bad news. When there's good news,
it's not
no news. And if I reflect on that, it's really, it's mind-blowing, because I think, why are you feeding fear if there's also the other side?
Yep. Really good point. Yeah, beautifully said. Right. So this is something to really pay attention to, as we go through each of these traits. I'm always really curious to see how it all plays out and how it all shows up. And it's interesting, again, taking a look at this particular quality and taking a look at the famous person, the celebrity that we have, if you will. It's Rosa Parks. And she was a civil rights leader And if we take a look at what her life work theme, it was about direction. You have an individual direction, and your unique way of remembering experiences brings a living, vibrant past into the future. And so she was an American activist in the civil rights movement and best known for her pivotal role in the Montgomery bus boycott. The United States Congress has called her the First Lady of Civil Rights and the mother of the freedom movement. And Parks rejected a bus driver's orders to vacate a row of 4 seats in the colored section in favor of white passengers once the white section was filled. So it's very interesting, in a sense, sort of taking a stand against the bigotry and taking a stand for this tolerance. Again, I'm always fascinated of who happens to show up, and I think this is a beautiful example. This is standing up and standing against the bigotry, or feeling or um, experiencing the bigotry as well, and being able to take a stand for that. So I find this absolutely fascinating. Yeah, I don't know if there's
Great.
anyone else that would like to add to that.
I think in, how long is this ago? Like
This was in
a
was
century
it?
ago,
Yeah, it was. Yeah, in the
more or less.
60s. Yeah.
Yeah. So it is just, I think the whole movement of the colored people and having the same rights and just being a human, right, is such a exemplary example, or such a magnificent example of all of this, right? Like if you scroll back to the bigotry, that is there tolerance or is there hatred, right? It is the extremes in colored in.
Right. And I was just looking, and she actually has it in the challenge, right? And so
Yeah,
this is also an example of how it can be in the challenge, but yet make a difference, right? It was, in a sense, part of what she was here to you know pull out. Part of her life work is to deal with, in a sense, that negative side, right? And she had a huge impact in the civil rights movement. So
wow.
again, even though we take a look at it as a very negative thing, there's ways that, yes, she experienced it. Yes, she also brought attention to it as well, so that it can come to light, so that people will listen, that they can see, what's not equitable, to see what isn't correct, right? So this is what we would typically see as something very negative, but utilized in a very powerful way. So again, there's not a good or bad. It's all in how it shows up and how you use it.
Yeah, I think this is so powerful and also so um, for this moment so important, because what she clearly did is she didn't let the past define her future. She reflected and said, okay, well, it can be that colored persons in the past are rejected or are enslaved, etc. But I don't let that happen to me.
Yep.
So I think it's really important, and that's also when people can have experienced the same things in life. And some people, they have well, for me, my personal example, I've been in a car accident, and I could have let my car accident define my future in a negative way, but I choose to do it in a positive way. It's again the choice between two sides. Is it undermining you or is it empowering you?
Mhm.
And in which way does it define your identity and your direction?
Yep.
So I also, in this time, we really have to take a look at, okay, there are things changing, but are we going to sit down and think, oh my gosh, it will never be normal and old and back again and oh, or do we sense like, okay, well, it also has new opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
So I think really this is a beautiful example again about the choice we have in our lives. What defines us?
Yes.
Yeah, so
Beautifully, beautifully said. Very powerful. Nice. All right. Anything from our Facebook or our Zoom room?
They're just in awe.
And one of the things to also notice with all of this quality too, notice how quiet everyone is. Everyone's kind of the hermit in their own space, not really speaking up. Right? That's sort of the quality of what's happening right now too. And the not only we have the background frequency itself as the 2, right? But we also have the trait for today as well in the 2. So I find that really fascinating. Well, very cool. Well, thank you, everyone. And we'll wrap up with last words of wisdom, what to bring forward during this week, what to listen to this week. Again, just as a reminder, if you want to follow along, you can download your BG5 career design map on the website. You can just go to bg5businessinstitute.com and find that. There's also free reports as well. You can also follow along with the trait of the day or watch any of the past episodes in our free resource library. And we also have classes. Classes have just gotten started for this semester. There's still an opportunity. If you want to jump in, you can still jump in. We also have a course. Our next courses will come up in May as well. So look forward to having you check it out. And if you have any questions, let us know. So let's wrap up this trait of listening and learning from the past. And I would love to hear from each of our panel just some things to pay attention to or things to be aware of this week based and considering that we're in trait 13 this week.
Yeah, there's been so many beautiful things said today. So take that and contemplate on, what is it that in our essence unites us, and listen for opportunities.
Yeah.
In amidst of all the fear.
Yeah, exactly. Beautifully said. How about for you, Anna?
I would say cueing off of the word tension. That listening is sort of a process of tension and attention. Where's the tension? As Linda was saying about mediating, I've been a mediator as well. And so when you're aware of the tension, where the tension is leading you, that's where your attention goes. You can go to fear. You can go to a sense of higher purpose. But this interplay between tension and attention, I think, was illustrated really well in your little diagram with the 4 hands, because that's a square. That's a balance. A 4 is a balance number. And inside the square was the diamond, the identity. And tension is a process, I think. It's an interplay. Listening is an interplay between tension and attention.
Beautifully said. I love that. How about for you, Linda? Thank you, Anna.
Well, to me, it feels like contemplating, reflecting, listening to yourself and others about what is it that you want in your reality. what do you want to take with you to your future? Is it disappointment about things that aren't there anymore? Or is it excitement about what new things will arise? And also, what is good for you, or what feels good for you, or what is intuitively good for you? So I think it's really important to follow your inner guide, to go back to your decision-making strategy, to go back to what your body tells you, and to really, hone in to your inner truth, because you know everything within. So listen also to the wisdom.
Yeah.
So that's what I really, because these are challenging times.
Yeah.
And it's so easily to get overwhelmed by the chaos and the confusion of everyone around you. So go back and listen and create your own reality.
Yeah. Beautifully said. Beautifully said. Thank you, Linda. And as all of our panelists have mentioned, again, this is just a time to, with the two, we're in the two, and the background environment is in the two, and just this time of contemplation to kind of be the hermit, to really get a sense for where things have been, so that you can really move powerfully forward into the future, taking a look at the lessons of your own personal history, taking a look at the lessons of world history as well, and listening to what are the secrets that are behind the scenes, what are secrets that may be being revealed, what are in a sense also those inner secrets, as Linda was talking about, that we can really tune in for ourselves of what we want to create and how we want to create moving forward into the future. So thank you, everyone. Such a rich discussion. I so appreciate each and every one of you. And I look forward to seeing you all next week. So have a fabulous week. Listen, be present, and always follow your decision-making strategy. All right, everyone. Have a great week. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.